Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Good Luggage. This episode is going to be a little different than the norm from Good Luggage and the detailing point of view. For this episode we are going to go through the process of, I suppose, building a computer and the reason for me building a computer. So I've been doing videos for a number of years prior to what I'm doing now. I used to go to Mondello, which is a local racing circuit here, and film drifting and take photographs of drifting and motor racing events. A number of years ago I did have a MacBook Pro, absolutely loved it, but it's old technology now. That was back in 2008, 2010. Eventually I got a new computer, which was this one, but this is actually 6 years old. I can't even tell you what sort of RAM and specs and all that sort of stuff. I'm not very good when it comes to actual computer terminology or anything like that. But what has been happening is, since I started doing these vlogs now for the detailing point of view, from a detailing point of view, what I found is all the content that I'm recording, and to get the highest quality, I'm bringing it back onto this computer, and I use Adobe Premiere to edit all the videos and stuff like that. But what's happening is my computer is far too slow. It's cutting out quite a lot of the time. I don't have enough memory on the actual computer itself, so I'm relying on extra hard drives or external hard drives. It's come to a point now that it's an old computer. It's just not fit for purpose now at the minute in order to be able to carry out and continue these vlogs. I went to my friends who are interested in the likes of gaming, technology, computer building, etc., and I told them basically I'd love to get another Mac is where I was at. I used to love the Mac. And they said to me, why not think about building a PC? I asked what the differences was, or what's the benefit of building a PC. Basically told me that you're getting nearly double the power and benefits for half the price as such. And the Mac was always there in my head. I love the Mac, but I seem to be getting a hell of a lot more from PC or from basically building my own computer. So yeah, so just to bring it back a little bit, from uploading all the footage onto my own computer, so just basically running two monitors, well, the laptop, and then I have an external monitor plugged in here as well, just to help me out with the editing process. What was happening is that when my computer was rendering the footage, it seemed to cut out, or it seemed to stop, or the disk might be ejected of some sort, or whatever was happening anyway. So that was a real pain, and it turned out then I needed to actually get a loan of a computer running Adobe on it as well. So I got in touch with a friend of mine called Colin Carrigan, and he let me borrow his MacBook Pro, I think it is, 13-inch, running Adobe Premiere, 16 gigs of RAM. I think that's basically all I know anyway. So the fact that I'm running Adobe CC on this, that means I have the 2020 version, the most up-to-date version, whereas he has only got 2019. So that was a bit of a conflict in itself then. So what I ended up having to do is go to the internet, find converters to go back to the older editions of Adobe Premiere, so back to the 2019 version, and took the footage onto the MacBook Pro. Had to render it there once again. Bit of a pain in the hole, because say the fonts that I was using on my own computer, they weren't on the other one, and I just was getting really annoyed that I just couldn't do what I wanted to do. So my computer now, as it stands, it's basically not fit for purpose what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to achieve, and having to borrow another computer to render it and export it, then try and bring it back onto this computer. The fact that you're working from Mac to PC, hard drive, I wasn't able to write on the hard drive on his PC, so I had to use Dropbox. So there's too many things going on. So yeah, so this is when the new PC build comes along. I've gotten a good bit of guidance and advice from a couple of guys, and we're in the process of, we've just placed an order through Amazon, Amazon.de. Look, Brexit and all that sort of stuff is going on. I've been advised go to Amazon.de, so it's coming from Germany. And then from actual local supplier then as well, called Memory C, and a couple of bits on the way. And yeah, just looking forward to the build. I've never built a computer before. I don't have any notion of how it's done. I've looked at YouTube videos, seems kind of plug and play-ish. But anyway, this video is going to be basically about a person who has never built, or doesn't have much of a notion about computers, building a computer to a fairly high spec, as far as I'm aware anyway, to cater for video editing and Photoshop editing and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully all the parts work out. I think using the internet, there's sites online that you can pick your parts and do all that sort of stuff, and it tells you whether the parts are actually compatible or not. And I think I've basically ordered the parts that will all work together. Yeah, so we just have to wait on everything to arrive in. and once I get them in, we'll start documenting exactly what I got. As I said, this video is going to be the whole process of building the computer from a first time, a beginner's point of view, I suppose, as such. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I don't make too many cock-ups, but yeah, if you do see me doing something silly or something stupid, please put it down in the comments below, as I'd like to rectify it as soon as possible. So, here we go.
Hello, baby.
Yeah, that's me. Excellent, excellent. Cheers. Right. Oh, right. I'm excited. I don't know what way to make a video here or do anything, but the last of my parts have arrived for the computer, and yeah, I don't know. Look, oh, I don't know. I don't exactly know what these parts do, but they're good, and I'm too excited. Where's the knife? Knife. There you go. Right, so I'm not actually going to open the big box yet, am I? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see what's in here. Now, let's get to building. Okay, so throughout this video there's going to be possibly a good bit of voiceover going on, but I'm going to try and give you a bit of an introduction into exactly what's going on at the time of the video. So for this part, it's basically just downloading Windows on my previous laptop onto a USB stick in order to be able to use it then on the new PC, or to install it on the new PC then. Okay, all the parts as of today have arrived in. There were a couple of other little bits that I needed to remember, but basically I forgot that I was actually going to need a whole new build, and one of them was a keyboard and a mouse. And now this is a fairly cheap one. I'm not going overly expensive on the keyboard and the mouse yet. I think down the line I may want to look into something a bit nicer. I'm just not really sure what the hype is about keyboards. Look, I'm going to be using Premiere and Adobe quite a lot of the time, so maybe there's certain shortcuts or something that's better with certain keyboards. I don't know, but anyway, at least this one will get me up and running. This one, I think I'm going to go through no, at the minute I'm going to go through kind of all the items that I've gotten and the costs of every item as well. So this keyboard and mouse, I think it was 29 euros in Tesco's. So just cheap and cheerful. Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, and I'm very dark there, am I? Yeah. Okay, so I also had to buy a USB stick. This was to download Windows onto it. This is a 32 gig integral. I think it was 24 euros again in Tesco. Now the thing about this is, once you download Windows onto, you have to format the stick first of all. And I've put Windows onto that. I think it's about 6 gigs or something like that. Once you put Windows onto it, you can't use it again. So if you are using a memory stick, make sure that obviously you're not going to be able to use it again. So I just bought a cheap one from Tesco's, and yeah, that's all it was. So 24 I think for that one, 29 for the keyboard. Let's go through all the other parts then. Now, so in no particular order whatsoever, because I don't know which is most important or which has the biggest wow factor or anything like that. I'm just going to go, and as I say, I'm going to pick it up and tell you exactly what I got. Those who've been following my Instagram have actually seen some of the products that I've already gotten, so if you get a chance, you'll see Instagram down below. Click it, follow it, or whatever you do with Instagram anyway, and yeah, you'll get a bit more behind the scenes of loads of different things that I'm doing. First big thing, I suppose, this was up on Instagram before, which was the central processing unit. Is that what it is? I don't know. The chip. So this is the chip. I went for 3700X Ryzen 7 processor. Now I'm reading off the instructions here because I don't actually understand half the things. Now I got a lot of advice on these, so just to let you know what they are. AMD Ryzen 7 3700X processor, 4 GHz, AM4, 36 megabyte of cache, Wraith Prism. That was €300. So it was. Now this was bought from Amazon.de as well. I think it was 5 days it took for the part to be delivered. I think there's a cooler and stuff all inside, but I'm not opening it just yet. I'm just kind of waiting until I have everything set up and ready to go. Then we'll open it, we'll be able to have a look at it then properly. As well as that from Amazon, I also got Samsung SSD drive 980 Pro. This I heard, this is a 500 gig version. Doesn't really say it now, solid state drive, load of other jargon as well. I didn't know what to expect with this because of the fact that my motherboard that I have has an M.2 slot apparently. I was told that this would be one of the #1 options as regards a hard drive to have. Now I did want to get an SSD because of the speed. I actually got my old laptop upgraded with an SSD drive, and the speed, it was brilliant. Now don't ask me any figures or anything like that, but it just worked much better, much faster, everything. My motherboard comes with 2 M.2 slots, so I got this one for basically for my operating system, all the programs, all that sort of bits and bobs and whatever. So then there was another M.2 slot, so I decided to get another one. We have 1 terabyte of SSD, Samsung 980 Pros. Apparently it's apparently they're new in the market. They're only just being released not so long ago or whatever. I don't know what all the hype about is anyway, but PCIe 4.0 NVMe M.2. But guys, if that means anything to you, hopefully it's good. Anyway, that's the reason why I went for 2 of those. So one is going to work as something for the operating system. The other one is going to work as if I'm shooting video or whatever like that, I can bring it all onto the second drive as a scratch disk, run them all, edit, do whatever I need to do, and then put them back onto an external hard drive then, as regards storage then. So hopefully keeping a good bit of space on the computer at all times. Now I haven't got the external hard drive, but that's yet to come anyway. So these guys were $127.90 each, so that is $255, about $255 for the 2 of those. So total from Amazon is $564.73. So that was all from Amazon.de, and as I said, they arrived within, I think it was about 5 days anyway. Okay, so next to arrive was I ordered stuff from a company called MemoryC.com. Now I'll get back to those because I ordered them the same day as Amazon.de, which was the second. And then in between all that, then I didn't have a power supply unit because I wasn't sure exactly what one I should be going for, what I was doing, and basically ended up then going for the EVGA 750 Gold. This is a fully modular device, a fully modular power unit. What else does it come with, or what does it do? Fully modular, it's gold, 750 watt. I don't even know if I need that. What else was there? How much was that? I need to check and see how much that was. Okay, so that power unit then was $146.21. Now I think there was a bit of a deal on that as well. I was looking at the 700 watt gold semi-modular, I want to say, but I think for an extra €10 and the offer that was going, I went to Amazon.co.uk, went with the import charge and all that sort of stuff, came to $106.21 for a fully modular 750 watt gold EVGA. So again, those of you that know anything about power supplies, I don't. Apparently it's a good brand, so hope it's good. Okay, next on the list then was the wireless adapter or Wi-Fi adapter. This one it's a Wi-Fi adapter. Basically give me Wi-Fi on my desktop. Because the motherboard doesn't actually support Wi-Fi. 300 megabits Wi-Fi advanced. Look, I don't know. Wi-Fi card. €14.68 plus VAT on that one. $17.76 for a Wi-Fi card or Wi-Fi adapter, whatever. Wi-Fi for the desktop anyway. Next on the list, excuse me, was to get a little bit of RAM, and I went with, now I got advice on all of this stuff, so it's not me that was going for it, but we went for, I suppose is the best way of putting it, we went for the Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 3200 MHz PC4 25600 CL16 dual channel kit 2x8 gigabit red. So red is the bit that I notice on it. 2x8 gigs, give me 16 gig of RAM. Apparently don't need any more than that, but there is slots on the motherboard for any more RAM, so I can obviously go up to 32 gig if I wanted to. But happy enough with this. I suppose the theme of the whole system is going to be black and red. And these came in at a cost of 101 euros. So for 2 8GB sticks then. For the motherboard, there was a toss up between the B550 and the X570. Simply, I think each thing had their own benefits. I think the B550 was working out a little bit cheaper, but I think if you want to kind of future-proof something, is the terminology, or the what I've been told anyway, it was a better option to go with the X570 from MSI. I don't know a huge amount about it. So it has 2 M.2s. I don't know, does that make any sense to people? Just to have the likes of the X570, the AMD working, or Ryzen, I don't know. Ryzen and this one apparently go well together. So keep them all as close to possible, or having them work together. The CPU supports 2nd and 3rd gen AMD Ryzen, AM4 CPU socket, AMD X570 chipset, graphics interface, 4 DIMMs, expansions has 3 PCIe, 3.0, storage, 1 lightning, USB. Fuck it, there's loads of stuff on this yoke. That's basically what you get on the back of it then. So you're getting lots of ports on the back of it for whatever your needs are anyway. That one came in again from memoryc.com. That one worked out at 165.92. Delighted I have them. Now, I suppose the second last bit of kit that I have here is a loaner item from a friend of mine who's actually been helping me with this build. Graphics cards are becoming so scarce, but like hen's teeth now at the minute. Can't find a graphics card to suit, or else I just can't afford a graphics card now at the minute. So he's giving me a hand, giving me this to help me out for now, just to get the system up and running, get using it. But I think down the line I want to go for I think it's called an RTX 3080X. I don't know, there's loads of X's and loads of different things. So 3080, apparently it's going to be good with Adobe for the likes of your After Effects and Premiere and stuff like that. Delighted to have something to be able to get up and running anyway. And the last thing then is the case and what it's going to look like. So I actually wasn't going to open any of these things until I was actually doing the whole build itself, but I got a bit of advice to read over the manuals and stuff before you do anything. So I said I'd do this section of the video, kind of introduce what I'm after getting, and I'm going to open up the motherboard and the case as well, just to see what manuals are there, what I'm going to be working with, what I'm going to be building, and try to figure it out a bit. So let's open the case and have a look. Forgot a couple of other little bits that I got. Got a couple of Velcro straps off of another friend of mine, just for any cable management afterwards. He just had them lying around, so it didn't actually cost me anything. And then a pack of cable ties again for the same thing, cable management once again. Obviously different colours. I'm probably going to be using with the red ones. But see how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to need them, but at least they're there anyway for when I am actually building something. So, okay. Let's see what this case is like then. Ta-da! That's my case. So, nice glass on the side of it. What's on the side here? So this one has one USB-C, normal USB, mic input, headphones input, and then I don't know what's that, an eject button for something? I don't know, and your power switch then. And then on the back, obviously, I get to work on those bits later on. Filters and all sorts of stuff. Look, that's it. Suppose I can't go wrong really. Again, I don't know what's good or what's bad. This one was it wasn't, I kind of possibly cheaped out on the case a little bit, but this one was 62.65 without VAT. So with VAT, 75 quid for this case. I think it's all ATX stuff or whatever, isn't it? Spec 4 MIDI computer tower, black and red. That's what it is. So the theme is going to be red and black, and yeah, I can't wait to start building it. I don't know what to expect. I'm a bit nervy about it all, but I'm kind of just waiting on that. Right, I just got the advice to read over a couple of instructions, know what you're working with, know what's on the motherboard, kind of get some sort of an idea where the things are going, and then hopefully tomorrow we might be able to get cracking on the actual build itself. So, okay, so I think it's time to start building the computer. No fipping and faffing about it with it. Okay, the first part I'm going to tackle is the motherboard and trying to get the CPU put onto that. So we have CPU and motherboard. Now I have anti-static wrist straps and something like that. Hopefully nothing's going to go wrong. Anyway, let's crack on with it. Okay, so the build started here with the motherboard and the CPU, and what I was basically, look, I'm not set up fully for, I suppose, computer building as such, but the precautions that I took in place was to have the anti-static wristband. The ground I was working off was actually I think there's a bit of plastic or plexi thing on the ground for my chair to be on, and kind of always stayed on that as such. I also used the bag that the motherboard came in just to work off that, or to sit that board onto that. I don't know if it's going to make any difference or not anyway, but that's the setup I used. So we got the chip in, put the cooler on. Then it's fairly plug and play, I think, with the AMD stuff, and then putting it into the cooler fan. It's all written on the actual motherboard itself. So we started off with the chip, the cooler went then on top of that then, and next thing we turned into was the RAM. For this part, I just wasn't sure exactly which slot. There's 4 slots there. Which slots should be used? To me personally, I thought, possibly the 2 outer ones to keep them away from the fan or away from the chip and stuff. I think after doing a little bit of googling, then it was better off that I split the 2 RAMs. So I used, I think it was slot 4 and 2 or 1 and 3, whatever it was anyway. But kept them split up as much as I could then. Next on the list then was the M.2s, the SSDs from Samsung, the 980 Pros. Again, very simple to do. The screws for the M.2 slots came with the motherboard, and literally it was a case of all you have to do is push them into the slots. You should be able to see here now in a second. Yeah, so push them into the slots. I think you hear a little bit of a click, and then you're kind of pushing it down, putting the screw in. It's fairly simple, it's fairly straightforward to do. There was no problems really installing this. Okay, so now at this stage I have basically the motherboard. I won't say it's completed or not, but next case was to take the case and basically put it into it and make sure it all fits up nicely and everything works at the same time. Throughout this whole build process, you'll see on the screen there, I've actually had a Zoom conference call open at the same time with a friend of mine there that was actually kind of guiding me through the whole process as well. I've never done this before, so it was good to have someone in the background kind of explaining a couple of the bits of terminology that I might not have been used to. So the motherboard fits in perfectly. Just took all the other wires out of the way and then started screwing in. I think there was 7 or 8 screws around the motherboard then. Just to take note as well, you'll see where the inputs are on the outer part of the case. There's actually a little panel that goes in there. So unfortunately, I missed out. I didn't put the panel in before the motherboard, and unfortunately now later on in the video here, you'll see that I have to take everything out to put that little panel back in then. Okay, so now as we stand, we have obviously the case is open, the RAM is in, 2 SSD 980 drives are in, the CPU is in, the fan is holding on to the thing, the fan is on top of the chip. Just put in the board into the actual case itself. I think next up we're going to try and get the PSU, see will it fit, or see how it fits, or see what way it's going to work, and just make sure that I hope that I didn't have to put in the PSU first before this one. So fingers crossed that everything's going to go well in this one then. Okay, let's crack on. Okay, so the PSU, this was bought from amazon.co.uk, 750 watt EVGA gold, fully modular. Again, didn't know what to expect from the whole lot, but there was so many wires, it was kind of a bit daunting at first to see exactly what was coming with it, but quick read over the manual then, it kind of explained a hell of a lot. So I I think going back to manuals or read your instructions and everything is a key to, I suppose, understanding your equipment, or even when it comes to building it.
Right, let's see what happens. Oh shit, don't go.
Okay, so depending on what case that you got, this actually determines which way the PSU is going to be installed into your case. For my case in particular, there's a vent on the bottom of it. There's also a dust filter there as well, which obviously helps with the circulation. If you didn't have that at the bottom of the case, it was advised that you turn the PSU upside down, because there's a fan on the bottom of it, and let it ventilate then around the actual machine. So obviously know your equipment and check it out and just know what way it goes in then properly. Okay, so at this stage then it's just connecting the PSU and all the wiring that goes with it. So the PSU onto the motherboard, and checking what other items that I need to connect now at this stage. Next up then was the graphics card. This was, as I said earlier there, this was a loaner item. So again, possibly just should have gone through the instructions before, but always keep them at hand. You never know when you're going to actually need them next then.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it down this one if I can. So that means I need to take out, I think it's those two slots there. So I'm going to get working on those ones.
So again, prior to this, I didn't actually fully understand where everything was going. So I found one of the slots that the graphics card was going to fit into, and I went and took the outer bits of the casing off them and went ahead. This is me cleaning down the GPU. It was a second-hand item. It's quite dusty as well, so just using a compressed air can and getting rid of any dust or anything like that that's around. So by putting it into the case then itself, obviously fits perfect, but then what happened was I was going to put the Wi-Fi card in, and in order for the Wi-Fi card to actually fit in properly, it determined basically which slot that the graphics card went into.
Okay, so I'm looking at putting the wireless card in here, that PCIe adapter. Should be a straight fit, so straight down in there. It's all in line, so I should be taking out that board's on the top. I should be taking out this one here. I could have left it out now after all. Okay, let's do that and I'll get back to you in a second.
So it literally was just plug and play into the PCIe adapter, but the size of the graphics card, where it was positioned below here in the bottom slot, actually didn't allow for the Wi-Fi card to be inserted. So obviously just needed to change where the GPU was, and therefore allowed the Wi-Fi card then to be installed fairly easily then. Excuse the music here, by the way. I didn't actually know what way this is going to run, but it's the longest track that I had.
Oh yeah. So right, we're on to USBs and all that sort of stuff. So I can see the slots for, right, I'm going to go for this big one first, which is looking USB 3. So
Paddy, once you have everything in and plugged in, and you know that it's working, you know where things go, then you can start thinking about cable management as well, right?
Tidying up then, yeah.
Tidy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's all going to be, I think it's all going to be all sped up anyway, so I think I'm going to be time-lapsing the shit out of this. So...
Yeah, you're better off. People who watch a predominantly automotive detailing channel probably don't want to necessarily see
detailed confusion.
Computers.
Yeah, so that's kind of true. This channel is primarily devoted to detailing and car detailing, automotive detailing. So the whole idea behind me putting up this video on this channel is basically I'm trying to I suppose to show the journey of me getting to possibly owning my own business and my own detailing business. And in order to go and do that, I'm starting off with vlogging, but I need a good computer to be able to work. So it all works down to having your own workspace, your own good computer to use. And I think in this day and age, there's a hell of a lot of people that are interested in computer building and gaming and stuff. So I just thought it might be a little bit of an interesting video for people to see then.
I wonder, is that fan connected then?
Which fan?
No, it's not. Here's a fan. Found a fan.
Oh yeah, so you mean the case fan, okay?
Yeah.
But so you'll have to find it. You'll have to find a fan header on your motherboard.
Yeah, there's loads here. I think system fan 1. Yeah.
So that's where those get connected.
That's fairly simple. Okay, so one thing that we did notice, we kind of came to the, I suppose near the ending of the build. We have we're just kind of putting the final finishing touches together as regards the power switch and USBs and stuff that are on the other side of the case, getting them plugged in, double checking, making sure everything is done. But we just came across, I didn't actually realise there was 2 cables that came with the CPU cooler, and I'm after finding a little slot on the cooler itself which has something to do with RGB or something like that. So just going to try and connect those, and I think that's going to help with the lighting and all that sort of stuff. So nearly there, nearly ready to have the first switching on. So looking forward to that, and keep going.
Yeah, so there's a lot of double checking that went on throughout this build as well. So it's something that I just wanted to make sure that I had absolutely everything right. So double check everything, double check your work, make sure that everything is plugged in where it's meant to be and plugged in properly and stuff. And hopefully you should have a good build if you're actually going doing it yourself then.
Okay, so I think we're just seconds away, well, moments away I suppose, from starting up the computer for the first time. Sees everything working, there's nothing catching, there's nothing making any funny noises or whatever. It was just funny because we were literally about to start it, and my wife texts me there. She says, can you be quiet upstairs because the baby is trying to have her nap. So basically, like a bull child on Christmas, I have to wait for an hour or two now until she's awake, and because I'm sure there's going to be a bit of excitement once this is actually up and running and actually working. So yeah, to wait for another couple of minutes yet. Okay, just to give you a quick update of where we're at. Okay, the computer is basically built, but when we went to fit the screen, or to connect it up to the screen in order to be able to switch it on and do that and the other, it turned out that we had a bit of an issue in the sense that the lead that I had for the screen is one of these 15-pin connectors. I think it's a VGA connector, I think it's called. But my problem then was the fact that on the back of the board then, it actually
doesn't take that 15 pin. It only takes, I don't know, what is it, DVI? What do you call it? DVI? I think it's DVI connections. I ended up having to go down to one of the local shops here and collect a lead, which was the adapter basically between DVI and VGA. So I have that now. I can connect the screen to the computer. Like at the end of the day, it's not going to be the end screen that I do want. I do want a better screen and more high res screen and all that sort of jazz, but that's in time to come. Again, I suppose at this point, by you guys subscribing to the channel or anything like that can help, maybe help that goal of getting a better screen as well. More views and all that sort of jazz and stuff. Eventually we will be going on to hopefully making a desk, and the reason, I suppose this shows you I suppose a bit of a reason why I actually do need a different desk or a bigger desk, is that you can see even just with the likes of that, so that's basically all the size of a desk that I have. Like I have no space to do it, and my plan is to basically have the desk coming right over to that wall over here, just, I don't know, somewhere over, where? There, somewhere. I can't really do it, it's quite hard to do. So the desk will be coming over to that wall there, and then spreading right across over to this, where this desk is. So I'll have all that whole extra space then eventually with a new desk. It's work in progress, but I think just to have that little bit more space would be, for even something like this, would be really beneficial. But just, I've no working space at the minute, so the desktop is going to have to go down on the ground, and I don't know, is it going to have to, I'm not sure yet exactly, but I just need a bigger desk in the long run, but that's soon to come. So I'm about to connect the screen with the new cable up to the laptop, up to the computer, and hook in the power, and then we'll go from the booting up process then. I've already downloaded Windows onto a key here, and yeah, just that's the next step anyway. I suppose as well, there's been a bit of moral support there along the way. I have, you'll see on the laptop in the background, I was using that screen there at one stage, but I've had Zoom open for the last while, and a couple of friends of mine who would be good and I suppose big into the gaming and all that sort of stuff. A couple of them have been kind of coming in and out and stuff throughout the morning to see the build, how it's going and all the rest, and I'm actually kind of just waiting on them, because they've been part of the whole build process as well. They're actually going to sign in here as well, or log in, and just going to kind of do it all together. I suppose a bit of a team effort on this front. Me not having too much of a notion about computers. No, look, it's kind of a lie. I have a little bit of an idea about computers, but not when it comes to building a computer. I remember back to the old days, like it's just, you open up a computer, it's just full of dust and cables and this and that and the other. So it's actually turned out to be, well, I mean, so far it's been an easy enough process, just basically plug and play, watch out for any static and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, I think by doing this one, it's given me a good opening of, or a good introduction of how to build a computer, and the fact that I'm a first time builder, I've never done this before, and it's actually quite simple. It's literally a case of plug and play. I suppose the hardest part was trying to get Windows onto a key or onto a memory stick, because you had to format that drive and do separate it, partitions and all that sort of jazz, something that I really didn't have a clue about. So again, if you are doing it for the first time, it's good to have someone who may be interested in all the computers and all that sort of jazz, just to give you that little bit of a, I suppose, a kick up the arse as well, to just go and do it. And at least if there is something that you do come across that is hard, especially during lockdown, we can't be meeting up with each other, so that's why kind of we're doing through Zoom. At least they can tell you where you may or may not be going wrong and stuff. So yeah, let's crack on with connecting up the screen and try and go for our first switch on and see. In fact, just to note, while one thing that I did forget, which is going to be an awful pain in the hole as well, obviously I haven't done any of this whole cable management thing. It's all kind of still a big blur in there and stuff like that. But I also didn't, when I was putting the motherboard in, hopefully you can see that, this little board that goes on the outside, or kind of like it's like a cover, I suppose, as such. It's just sitting there. I think that was meant to possibly have gone on before connecting in the motherboard, so that's going to be a bit of a pain in the hole, but we'll try and figure that out sort of along the way. Unfortunately, I can't get it in, I don't think, without taking the motherboard off again. But look, when I'm doing the whole cable management thing, it shouldn't be too bad, because I think I'm going to be unplugging all the cables and stuff, and I think it's just a case of maybe having to take out the Wi-Fi, take out the GPU, unscrew the motherboard, moved across a bit and stuff like that. I think it should be a handy enough job, but it's just a bit of a pain. So just be, I suppose, a bit wary of that when you are, if you are building that. One of these little things, it's basically just showing all the different, I don't know, it's not going to zoom in properly. It's just showing all the different ports and whatever names and shit like that. So yeah, anyway, let's go. Well, let's give it a go anyway. So I'm right, plug it in. Oh Jesus.
Calm down.
Right, okay, so eco off, everything's off. Right, I'm gonna switch it on and then switch on to the side. You ready? Let's go.
Bang!
Ah, fuck you! Right, green light has come on the CPU or on the GPU, so that's good. And then let's find our power button.
Your fans will start spinning now in a sec.
Right.
When you pull it.
He's ready. The big one. 3, 2, 1. Woohoo!
Light. Look at the light up there.
Jeez, the stock fan on the AMD CPU is nice, isn't it?
Isn't it cool?
So tasty, like the race, like It's actually a really, really good fan as well as run. It actually does the job extremely well like that.
That is class. So now I have basically have one.
You'd be silly to buy another cooler.
Okay. Right, we're getting places. There's something showing up on the screen now. Okay, so we've just gotten set up and running now. What we've done now so far is we've gotten onto this BIOS screen, whatever it is, and everything seems to be looking as if it's working all right. And then all we need to do was plug in the back here. Don't know if you can see it there or not. The USB stick with the Windows is all set up on it. So we're going to go and reset everything and load from the load from the USB, load Windows on, and go from there. So let's do it. Couple of days on now, we have completed the build. The computer is now built. I have it showing on my screen here, and everything is working perfectly. Have internet, have everything that I need as such on this screen. I also have my laptop, which is still here. My laptop is what I used regularly all the time prior to this new PC happening. But the way I used to work it was I used to run this screen as a secondary screen to the laptop. So when I was doing any video editing or anything like that, I could use, say, I could see what I was actually doing on the main screen, and then I could use the laptop then for my editing as such, or see my timelines and stuff like that. What's happened now is that obviously I've gotten the new computer. I'm using this screen for the new computer, which is all good, whatever, but it leaves me without that second screen then for the likes of video editing and stuff. So I needed to come up with some sort of an alternative, and I knew that I was going to actually need a new screen. Now this screen is not, I don't know any stats or anything like that about it, but it's a fairly basic screen, I think. So I wanted something that a little bit better, maybe a bigger size as such. I did want to have two screens, again, to complete my workflow of having the two screens there. So I ended up going with this. So what it is the Samsung Ultrawide CJ890 43 inch. CJ890 43 inch curved monitor. I was really interested in getting one of these. One, for the fact that I really like the whole idea of having, basically being able to put 2 screens, or maybe even 3, I'm not quite sure yet until I actually set it up. But 2 or 3 panels or partitions onto one screen, rather than having 2 screens and the line down the middle of the sides of each computer. So 32:10 aspect ratio with a 120 Hz refresh rate. It's curved, ultra wide. The great thing about this screen as well, from what I hear, is that I'm able to plug in 2 computers onto the same screen if I wanted to. So therefore I could have my laptop and my PC on the same screen, or being able to utilize the 2 at once. Also comes in built-in 5-watt speakers, I think it is. So interested to hear what they sound like. I'm sure they're not going to be the greatest things, but at the same time, in the future, I will hope to get maybe a set of monitors for the desk anyway. So what we're going to do now is basically clear up all this setup and the mess and all that sort of stuff that's on the desk here. Take away the screen, the laptop, put that to the side, get this up and mounted. Another item that I got with the sale was a table mount as well, so I'm dead excited to use that. Unfortunately, I can't actually use that on this table due to the fact that there's a bar underneath it here, but in a future video to come, I'm going to be creating a new table, and with that I'll be able to put the table mount on and have the screen mounted to the back of the table then, so it's taking up less space on the actual desk from the stands shooting outwards and all the rest. So real estate will be a hell of a lot greater then from that. Okay, so we're going to cut to a time lapse of me clearing the desk and setting up the screen again. Now all I'm doing is opening up a Premiere project, one of the latest ones I'm after doing there. It's the Ultimate Leather Care for detailing how to DIY leather restoration, and I just want to see the screen that I get on this. I mean, this is immense. I get to see my whole timeline down here, so for ease of editing you get to see the whole lot here. Now my plan is to, if I make that smaller, plan that I have is to basically have that on one side and be able to move this somehow over to this side, which should in theory then be able to go and edit something over here and be able to play back over on this side then. So I mean, it means that I'm not constantly looking to swap screens to see what I'm doing, come back here and do all this sort of stuff. So this is fantastic now. This is exactly what I wanted. I suppose for workflow, if you did want to be using the likes of an Excel sheet and you were looking at emails, or you're doing whatever it is you might be doing, whatever profession or trade you may be in, the fact that you can have your email open on this side and then move across and put in your figures and your stats or whatever it is into your Excel sheet, just have them there and then. I know you can have 2 screens, but this is just pretty epic now. I'm not into gaming at all, or I've never done any gaming online or on PC. I played the Xbox and PlayStation obviously when I was a bit younger, but I think in time to come there is definitely, I'd say, an opportunity that I might actually consider bringing it onto this, just to see what the whole experience would be like. The screen is brilliant in itself. I mean, you have a load of different functions. You have, obviously you can lower it right down or raise it right up. So far you can twist it, you can level it then. I think, no, maybe you can't do that so much, but you can, if you wanted to do, if you were standing up or doing it like that, you can tilt it upwards, so at least you can be right there with it. It's a range of functions on it. I don't know what way I'll set it now. The 2 5-watt speakers in it, hang on.
To pick up the loose bits from something and for this element. There. Okay. Just that goes over.
I mean, the sound of it is not. It's
Try it now, yeah.
Sound of it off the two 5-watt speakers is not fantastic or anything like that, but I suppose if you wanted to just kind of get by with having that little bit of sound, it would work, but I think I definitely would advise in getting some new speakers for it. So that's it. Computer's built, screen has been gotten. It's been such a, I don't know if it's a joy or a thrill to be working on. See in the background here, I'm actually working on the build video itself, so I need to record some sort of a conclusion. I'm just looking through it as well and kind of looking over all the clips, and I kind of noticed the old COVID haircut has been getting worse and worse throughout the whole build process. The screen itself I didn't actually buy it new. I bought it second hand on Done Deal here. Got I think a bit of a bargain, €600 for the screen and the actual screen mount itself. This was bought back in September. It's now February, so it's not even that old, but I think a good bargain at €600. So keep an eye out on your local pages like Done Deal, adverts, or people who may be abroad, the likes of I think it's Craigslist and stuff like that. Bargains are out there to be had, so keep an eye on them. I'll still be doing the same for the likes of the graphics card. The graphics card that's here now at the minute, when I'm using Adobe or using Premiere, because it's a 2 gig card, and on the Adobe recommendations they recommend 4 gig of a graphics card, so I've actually been noticing skipping and jumping and a couple of little green screens and stuff flickering on the machine itself. So I think graphics card is definitely a must now at the minute, especially for using Adobe Premiere, so that will be next on the list. So I understand it was a bit of a long one, but I kind of wanted to show the whole build. Me being I suppose a nobody when it comes to building, I'm just your average user. I've never done anything like this before. I just thought it was quite an interesting build and an interesting video to be making. I know this video mightn't be to everybody's taste as regards detailing on a detailing channel, but the whole idea of me getting my workspace together, having a good computer to be able to work with, and having a whole good work area to be working in, I think in my pursuit to own a business or to run a business, I thought that I may as well put this up on the channel. It's becoming huge now that gaming and computer building and stuff like that is becoming massive at the minute, so hopefully that some of you guys that may be watching this from a detailing point of view have an interest in it and may have found this interesting, or to see how I got on. Let me know in the comments, have you built your own computer? What sort of specs have you used? You recommend a good graphics card for me using Adobe Premiere for the future for me to get? I thought a 3080, an RTX 3080, maybe there's better ones, there might be earlier series that might be better. Let me know in the comments what's good. Okay, so thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. All the best.